Dear students, now I am starting the explanation of the chapter Handon and the Prince, chapter number 6, page number 27. Please open your novel. Look at the book, please. I will ask some questions in the end about speaker and listener. Who is the speaker and who is the listener? Also, please be attentive. London Bridge. Meanwhile, Mice Hannon was leading the prince through the narrow streets towards the river. As they ran, they heard people talking. The news of the king's death had travelled quickly through the city. The king is dead. Edward's eyes filled with tears as he thought about his father. King Henry VIII was hard and cruel towards many people, but to his little son he was always kind and gentle, and the prince loved him dearly. His eyes filled with tears and he felt very sad and alone. So I am the king now, he thought, and an impostor is in my place. They reached London Bridge, which was more like a town than a bridge. It had shops, markets, inns, where travellers could have a drink or stay the night. Next page, class. And even a church. As Handon and the prince came towards the inn on the bridge, where the young man was staying, a rough voice shouted, "So here you are. You won't escape again." And John Canty put out his hand to seize Edward. "Not so fast," said Mice Handon. "What do you want with the boy? He is my son, and I am going to beat him until my arms are tired." "That's a lie," said Edward hotly. "I believe you, boy," said Handon. "We'll see about that," shouted Canty. "If you touch this boy, I'll cut you into little pieces," said Handon sweetly. He showed Canty his sword. "I saved this boy from an angry crowd in the Guildhall, and I'm not going to let you hurt him, even if he is your son, which I don't believe. I'm not going to leave him with you. Now go, before I get really angry." Then Canty disappeared into the darkness, and Handon led Edward into the inn and upstairs to his room. Yes, class 4, do you remember in chapter number 5, Mice Handon saved Edward Tudor in the Guildhall? Yes, class? When the captain of the guard ordered to throw him out, Mice Handon took Edward with him and went away. Now, in this chapter, class, the prince heard about his father's death as he was running away. He was sad for a little bit, but then he realized that he had become the king of England. Sweet, right? When Mice Handon and Edward Tudor reached at London Bridge, dear students, we have read about some more scenic description of London Bridge. Like there were shops, markets, inns. Inns are the place where people stop to eat or drink or they stay the night. Yes, class? On London Bridge, there was also a church. So, when Mice Handon and Edward Tudor were going towards the inn, which was on the London Bridge, suddenly John Canty found them. He threatened Edward Tudor and said that he would beat his son until his arms would be tired. No worries, students. Mice Handon scared John Canty off with just a threat of a fight. Next heading, please. At the inn. Handon's room at the inn was a small, cheap one at the top of the house. The furniture was poor and cheap. Only a bed, a broken chair, a small cupboard, and a washstand in the corner. But the bed was clean and comfortable, and Edward lay down at once. "Please call me when dinner is ready," he said. Handon smiled. Poor that boy, he said to himself. He looks like a pauper, but he behaves like a prince. Well, I will be his friend. I will take him home with me to Hendon Hall. If my father is still alive, he will be kind to him. He needs rest and good food. Then he will soon be well again. Look at this, class. This is Hendon Hall. It is Miles Hendon's house. Right? Next page. A servant brought their supper. Miles woke Edward gently. The boy went at once to the washstand in the corner and stood there. What's the matter? Asked Hendon. I want to wash before supper. Go and then you're welcome. Pour the water, please, and hurry up, said the boy impatiently. Hendon smiled as he poured the water. The boy washed his hands and face. Give me the towel. Be quick, he said. Hendon handed him the towel, and the boy dried himself. When he had finished, Hendon washed his own hands and face. The boy now sat down at the table. You may serve me now, he said to Hendon, smiling a little. Hendon put food on the boy's plate. Then he filled his own plate and sat down. The boy stared at him in surprise. No, you mustn't sit down. I'm the king. You must stand. Nobody is allowed to sit down in the king's presence. Don't you know anything? Smiling patiently, Hendon stood behind the boy's chair. You are a brave man, said the boy, although you do not know how to behave when you are in the presence of a king. Where do you come from? Yes, students. Inn is the house which provide food, drink and stay the night where travelers, especially for travelers. Okay, class? The house which provide food, drink and stay of the night especially for travelers. It is called inn. Yes, class 4? Now, so Hendon was also a traveler. He had not any home. The room in which he was staying was a small and cheap one. It was at the top of the house. It had only a bed, a broken chair, a small cupboard, and a washstand in the corner. But the bed was cozy and clean. Edward immediately laid down on the bed and ordered Miles Hendon to bring food for him. Miles Hendon was puzzled. Did the boy look like a beggar? But he behaved like a prince. Do you know, class? Miles decided to be his friend. He thought that he would take him to his home, when his father must be happy to see him. Miles' father's name was Sir Richard Hendon. So, back to the Prince Edward, students. Supper, an evening meal, typically a light or informal one. Okay, class? Edward Tudor took over Miles' room, slept in his bed, expected him to serve food. Not only that, but Edward won't let Miles Hendon sit in front of him. Miles didn't mind it at all. I'll just remind you that Miles Hendon was the only reason for Edward that he was still saved. When the Prince Edward, the King Edward was full with the dinner, he asked Miles Hendon about his history. A long story followed. Yes, class? Tomorrow I will explain the remaining part of this chapter. Please listen this explanation at least twice.